Okay, everyone, we'll just wait for a few more minutes to see if anyone else is joining us tonight. But while we wait, maybe share in the chat box where you're from, just so everyone can see where everyone is from tonight. We've got an extra panelist tonight joining us, so welcome to Lynn. And in a moment we'll kick off. But while we wait, we welcome Olivia from Les Murdy Girl Guides. Don't forget to share where you're from. And we've got Jess from Three Rivers. And if you just keep putting in what you're in, we'll get started. So welcome everyone. It's great to see some familiar names joining us again. And we've got someone from Nutty Potty Girl Guides. Welcome Stephanie. My name's Tammy. I'm a leader down in Albany. And before we start, I just want to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land in which I'm meeting today, which is the Noongar Menang people, and wish to acknowledge elders past, present and emerging. I will hand over to the rest of the team today. Robin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name's Robin. My guiding name is Dolphin and I'm in Bunbury and I'm part of the Bunbury Earth and Ocean Girl Guides. So I'll hand over to Lynn next.
Hi everyone, I'm Lynn for Older Girls. My guiding name is Wren. A few of you would all know me. It's lovely to be here with you tonight, and I'm just going to take the lead of what our other lovely leaders are doing. So,
haven't prepared anything, of course. No, just kidding.
No.
Want to welcome Madison from Les Murdy Girl Guides. We have got Kookaburra here from North Dianella Melaleuca Girl Guides. So for those who have just joined us, please share in the chat box where you're from, so everyone knows where everyone is from. So to kick off tonight, I have a thought, and today's thought is around gratitude and happiness, and it is: happiness cannot be far behind a grateful heart and a peaceful mind. So I thought that was a really good start for today. So today we are going to be making something that you can gift on to others, and Lynn's with us because her unit has made, how many have you made, Lynn?
We've made hundreds.
Hundreds
of them. So I've got quite a little bit. I've got a bit to show you.
And my unit did
about them. And are we going to look at the video? What was that?
Yes, we will.
Sure.
And Lynn's going to show off hers because the one I had made as a sample, my kitten got hold of and has not been seen since. So
I've got quite a few here, so that's okay. I can take us through the process.
We'll show this short video for you. It goes for about 5 minutes and it's based on an ABC story about the project that we're sharing with you tonight. So just hang on a minute while I work the technology and you can enjoy this movie. Oops, hang on. Joys of technology. I've got too many things open. Right. Okay, so let's go down to...
In this time of increasing isolation and fear, I think it's even more important than ever to show each other kindness and compassion, and I hope that making and sharing these little hearts is one way that we can do.
And make it bigger. So here we go.
In this time of increasing isolation and fear, I think it's even more important than ever to show each other kindness and compassion, and I hope that making and sharing these little hearts is one way that we can do that for each other.
My name's Abby and I've made over 150 hearts.
I've been making hearts with students. They come in if they've had a rough day.
We've made 250 of these.
I'm about to deliver to Mount Druitt Palliative Care Unit.
I was absolutely overwhelmed.
Makes me happy.
When people ask me, how does it work and why do they mean so much, I still feel in some ways I'm trying to figure out exactly why it's grown as much and as positively as it has. I'm Sarah de Jong. I live in Hobart, Tasmania, and I'm the founder of the 1,000 Hearts Kindness Project. It's called 1,000 Hearts because my initial goal was to make 1,000 pocket hearts to be offered to people who might be going through times of struggle with no agenda and no expectation of anything in return. But I'm still surprised by the results of what happened.
I was going through a tough time at school. I just found out that I had a learning difference, and the heart showed me that people cared, and I think Sarah saw that I really liked the heart and thought that maybe other people would like the heart.
Hearts have gone out all around Australia, across the world, to the USA, UK, New Zealand, Kazakhstan, Mexico, Vietnam, Hong Kong. There's too many countries to keep track of really where they've gone. I've made a lot, between 10 and 15,000 hearts myself, and we've got 7,000 followers on social media and making hearts out there in the community. I've started calling them kindness addicts, you know, because once you start, you can't stop.
I find it's the most tangible way to share and celebrate kindness in my community with those who are in need or in crisis.
And having run it for 4 years now, there have just been too many times where people have said to me, oh my goodness, that heart just reached me at exactly the right moment.
I was a recipient of one of those beautiful hearts from a friend of mine, and this heart was given to me with the word love stitched on it. But also I felt the love from her. I've taken it to all my appointments and every other treatment since, and you know, I'm sharing the hearts with other people also because they are meaningful. So I'm so, you know, through such horrible things, amazing things, you know, happened, and I'm sharing hearts and my daughter takes a heart to school. Like, that's the on-flow of what Sarah created originally.
Tonight, no end in sight to the nation's bushfire emergency.
In the recent Australian bushfires, it was a time when I really questioned the power of 1,000 hearts, actually, and I thought, is a little felt heart actually going to make a difference?
I did feel quite alone, so even though there's a lot of people and there's a lot going on throughout, you know, the bushfires and the uncertainty of it all, but just receiving this such a small token, like gesture of kindness, made a huge impact on the way I was feeling mentally.
I actually kept my heart in my front pocket where I could always feel it on my chest, and it was a constant, beautiful reminder that the thoughts and prayers from everyone around us were supporting us, and it's a really nice thing to know that we aren't alone, and a small gesture can mean the world, and to me it certainly did. So I just want to say thank you.
When people connect with 1,000 hearts, particularly if they make or give a heart away themselves, it's offering people an opportunity to connect with the goodness inside of them. In many ways, we live in a world where social isolation is happening anyway, and the pandemic is obviously increasing that sense of isolation that a lot of people have. So to sit on your own and make a heart and to think about who will receive this heart, what will it mean to them, whose hand is going to hold this heart, that can actually be a really powerful connecting activity to a greater feeling of humanity and working towards a kinder world.
So there we go. That is the story behind the project we're doing tonight. Now, Lynn, do you want to show off your beautiful selection?
Yeah, sure. So I have made lots of hearts. I said hundreds of hearts. So you can, there's lots of, do you want me to go through the way to sort of how you go? So you can make them either from a little template like this, if you're cutting them out yourself. You can, on the 1,000 Hearts project page, you can download this information. Sorry, it's laminated, so it's reflecting a bit. So on here, there's actually a little template. So you can do, you don't have to spend a lot of money to be involved in this project as well. So you can print out the template and just cut that out on a piece of cardboard and use that with your felt. Or you can buy hearts pre-cut. Here's a couple of packets that I've got ready to go. So you can, from Sarah's Etsy shop, she has an Etsy shop called 1000 Hearts, and you can purchase these hearts already pre-cut like that. So that's a pastels packet, and that's just the normal colours there as well. So I have normally got a box that's overflowing with ones ready to give out, but I've just recently given out about 100 out of these ones. So here's a couple that I haven't put in the packages yet. So they're different colours on different sides. I stitched them with quite contrasting thread, just so it stands out. And it doesn't matter the colours that you use. I pack them quite tightly with the stuffing, which we'll go through a bit later on. So once I've got the hearts, you can just give them out like that. And if you share with the people where they're from, Sarah just asked that we always share that there's something about 1000 Hearts with it. Again, from her website, the 1000 Hearts website, you can print out a sheet. Sorry, I've got all of this stuff here ready to go. You can print out a sheet of little tags like this. So if you print it double-sided, it's got 1000 hearts on that side and just a little bit about the pocket heart, and it tells people, it just says, this pocket heart has been lovingly handmade as part of the 1000 Hearts projects to share and celebrate kindness. Keep it close and give it a squeeze when you need a reminder of love, hope, comfort and courage. So with that, then I cut out those little hearts. They go in a little cellophane bag. Again, the link to get these is on the 1000 Hearts project. Sarah advocates very much for natural things, environmentally friendly. So these are little biodegradable bags. She asks that we use, if you can, use the felt squares that I showed you. The hearts, sorry, squares. The hearts are pure wool. Sorry, my headphones popping out. So these are 100% wool felt that she's using, and she asked that you use merino wool for the stuffing. I actually just, because I haven't been able to source the merino stuffing, I just use the traditional acrylic craft stuffing from Spotlight.
Is the scraps from cutting out your hearts. So I have got here the little scraps from my felt from cutting out the hearts, and that's what I'm going to use today to stuff my heart.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Being a Girl Guide, we're all about reduce, reuse,
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
COVID has, we can't use dual-use stuff anymore, and you can't take a reusable coffee cup. But this is something you can do where there's very little waste. If you're a knitter or a crocheter, and you have lots of bits left over, I know when I crochet blankets, I have, lots and lots of ends. You can also use them to stuff it as well, so it doesn't have to be expensive. And if you're making them the size that they have in their template, a little bit of felt goes a long, long way. So, a little bit of felt like this, I'm going to get a couple of hearts out of, and this is out of the scrap box from the guide haul, again with this bit. So it's a great way to reduce, reuse, recycle. And with cotton, in her instructions, she mentions embroidery cotton, but again, you're separating that cotton. So it starts off nice and thick like this, and then you pull out 2 strands and you get a nice skinnier one. And again, that way it makes it go further. But if all you've got at home is, good old standard sewing cotton, that works too. So, have you all managed to get yourselves a heart? So you need 2 hearts the same size. You can do any size. So Dolphin, do you want to show off your sized heart? Dolphin's made hers a little bit bigger than what probably Lynn and I are working with. So that's her size heart. I've got my template, and there's my 2 bits of heart. I've gone with purples tonight. How, Lynn, are yours same size?
Yep, I've got lots to choose from, and I did one round to sort of 3/4 full where I start stuffing. So that's one as well. But yep, I can start with any size. So I might do this green and green. Oh, that looks blue, but that's actually green. That's amazing.
So
that is amazing. It looks blue, but it's green.
In the chat box is a link to the instructions which show the template, but also has the instructions of what we're about to do. So if we go too fast, there is a set of written instructions there. You can click on the link that I've placed there. Or if we're going too slow, you can jump ahead if you need to. I found with my teenagers, with my guide unit, that we did this on Tuesday night. Half of them were on their second heart when I was just finishing the demonstration and working through with it with them all. So if you work faster, slower, it's at your own pace. So Lynn, would you like to lead or would you like me to lead?
Yeah, I'm just going to go for it. You can go for it. I'll just catch up. I haven't got my thread.
Okay. So thread to needle. I did have one of my guides who had a really tiny iPad needle struggle to thread it the other night. So if you've got a needle threader, or if you need to go back to one strand, that's an option as well. So I'm using 2 strands of embroidery cotton, and I've chosen, it's a little bright blue, you might not be able to see. Now, if you lay your 2 hearts together, you want to sandwich them and try and line them up. In the instructions, they recommend you start down in the, what do you call that part? The apex part of the heart?
Yeah, I don't know. I start, hang on, I should have done this before. The threading bit's
it is, and when you've got people watching, it always takes 10 times longer.
Yeah. Can you
So
believe it?
you can start off however you like. If you always have done the knot, you can start with a knot. If you do the over sew,
I would suggest, yeah, if you've got your 2 hearts like that, I actually start in the middle. So the little thread hanging down goes in the middle, and then I put the other heart on the top, if that makes sense. Sorry, and
that's good. That's a good suggestion.
I can quickly thread this. I should have been a bit more.
And then for those who are confident embroiderers or do a lot of things, you can do blanket stitch on the outside. That looks quite nice. You can do a whip stitch, or if you're not a sewer, and you know, most of us have sewn our badges on with that good old, I can't remember what the stitch is called, but you know, basic back to front, you can do that as well. But ultimately, by using the contrasting thread, it actually becomes a detail on your thing. So we're going to sew around our heart, but we're going to stop. Do you want to hold up your one, Lynn, where you're halfway through ready to stuff?
Yep, I stop about, sorry, I'll turn it around that way. It's easier to see. So I start here. I actually do use blanket stitch. I just like the edge around. I'll put it a bit closer so you can see. And so I go around, I started from the middle and I come around, and then I stop about 3/4 of the way.
And that's so you can still stuff it.
Yeah.
If you
I found if you start stuffing too early, it's really hard to keep it closed. But if you stuff it this sort of sewing around, then it's easier to keep that last little bit closed while you just finish it. So let me just quickly try and catch up with you.
That's all right, no rush. We're working at our own pace today. So what we're going to do while you guys are having a broader on that is we're going to run a bit of a poll, because as you may be aware, we're very excited to know that we're going back to face-to-face guiding in a couple of weeks. So from the week of the 15th, I won't say all units, but most units will be looking at resuming, and you'll be hearing from your guide leaders probably very shortly about what that's going to look like. But we want to put do we keep going with these Thursday night sessions, and put the vote to you guys. So I'm going to run a poll in a minute, and we encourage you to vote whether you want to keep these going, because we're more than happy to do that. But if you are so excited to be going back to normal guiding and you can't spare an extra night, or maybe your guide night is Thursday, do please let us know as well. And don't forget, if you haven't let us know where you're from, because I noticed we've got Tia with us again, please share in the chat box where you're from. So while you're sewing, I'll just run this poll, and you can vote at your leisure as we go. I do find blanket stitch though, I start off really fine with my stitches really close together, but as I get closer to the end, I almost like get bored and it gets really apart. I don't know if everyone else does that, but that's just
I'm happy to show when you finish with your poll, Tammy. I'm happy to show just how I start in the middle, if that's any help.
Well, does the poll take up the whole screen?
It does on mine, or maybe I can move it over. Oh yes, I can move it over.
There you go. Feel free to show off.
Okay, so I just start mine. So I've got the 2 hearts, and pick which one, it doesn't really matter. So I just go into the middle and around, and I just go over that stitch again. Sorry, it's a bit tricky, isn't it? So I just sort of secure the stitch just with it, so you've got that little tail bit hanging in the middle bit, and then I put the other heart on the top of that, so that messy end is in the middle of the 2 hearts, and then off I go.
Well done. I've just managed to get a knot in the middle of my embroidery thread. Did you hate that? Right in the middle. Okay, looks like we've had 5 people vote so far. So don't forget to vote. So now, yeah, we'll see how we go. Once everyone's voted, I'll share the results. You can see how we went. So if you haven't voted yet, so we've got Tia from North Dianella Melaleuca's online with us tonight. I'll read these out while we work. Alice from 3 Rivers, Kookaburra from North Dianella Melaleuca, Stephanie from Bull Creek Leaning Nutty Potty Guides. I do love that name. Madison from Lesmurdy Girl Guides, Jess from 3 River Girl Guides, and Olivia from Lesmurdy Girl Guides. Great to see so many of you come back each week. It does, you know, nice good feeling to see that you're not sick of us yet. Okay, so we've had 6 out of 7 votes. So we just need 1 more of you to vote when you're not untangling your string like me. And so time.
One thing also that I think it's really important to mention, Tammy, is that Sarah encourages you to keep the first heart that you ever make for yourself.
Oh.
That's something she encourages, because she always says that, I'm talking her like she's my best friend, you know, we're besties, no. She encourages you because she says just as important as it is to share and give love to other people and share it around, it's just as important to do that for yourself and appreciate that you're worthy of having things given to you as well. So you always make your first heart and keep it, or keep one of the hearts that you make for yourself. Doesn't have to be the first one, but always keep one for yourself as well. That's always a really important thing to remember.
I'll have to go buy some bright yellow felt for that, because I want my heart.
Yeah. So this silly earpiece. So at the end, sorry, I didn't show you how it looks at the end. So at the end, I put the little cellophane bag with the I've cut up this sheet into, just with, you know, scissors or a little cutter, put the paper in there, and then I just put the heart in the front of it and just a little bit of sticky tape to secure it. So then when you give them out, people know where they've come from and what it's all about, and they can look up. She's got a little Facebook image and a Instagram image there, so that people can look up further if they want to find out more information about the project. So
beautiful. I'm still trying to unknot my thing here. So how are we going, girls? You want to share in your chat box where you're up to with your heart? And I'll just share the results of the poll. So we've got 57%, which is just over half, who are keen to keep going, and 43% would prefer not to keep going. So we'll take the results on board, and we might do another poll next week, and then that'll help us guide our decision as to what we do. And we'll go from there. So I will stop sharing those things. So please share in the box how you're going, or whether you're stuck like me and still trying to undo a knot. I think I need better glasses, stronger glasses.
I've actually found that I use a slightly different kind of cotton, which is a bit sneaky, or not sneaky. Although Sarah recommends the 2 strands of the threaded cotton, the stranded cotton, I use I don't know, not exactly how you say it, the cotton perlé. It looks like this when you when you buy it in the skein.
Whereas I'm using the one like this where it's not twisted.
Yeah, yeah. So that's these ones here. So these are the stranded cotton. I found I got it into a little bit of a tangle constantly with the stranded cotton.
What's happening to me right now?
So I found this one with just the one. It's just another option. I mean, obviously use what you've got at home, and then I just untwist it onto a bit of cardboard that I just cut out from a cardboard box. And I always put, I tell our girls just to remember to put the little band that's around, if you're unreeling the cotton, either from the stranded cotton, I guess if it matters, if you want to know what colour it is, just keep the little band and the colour, the code for the colour, which is on the bottom of on the bands that are around the cotton that you buy. They've all got a colour on them. My girls were quite fascinated. They didn't realise such a thing existed, that each colour thread has a colour to it. So I guess if you're doing really fiddly, beautiful embroidery, you would need to know the colours. Not so much for something like this, but it's just general chat while we're sewing away.
Yes. Isn't it funny? This is how women used to pass away the winter and the night, was by sewing and embroidery, because we didn't have sewing machines back in the day, and all the clothes had to be hand sewed. So you can imagine that being able to sew was very much a desired skill, and it's very handy in guides because you never know when you have to re-sew a button back on, because if you're going to pop one, it's going to be in a spot right between the bust where it's going to be very visible, or I seem to buy clothes and I'm always losing buttons. I don't see to sew them on very well anymore. So it's a handy trick to have, handy skill to have, I should say. So I'm back sewing again now that my knot is sorted. I'm not going to finish with blanket stitch. I'm just going to do a quick whip stitch around. Okay, so we've got Olivia and Stephanie ready to stuff. So make sure you stuff away. So make them fairly firm.
Yeah, my tip with stuffing, if it's any help, is if you are using this kind of stuffing, don't try and stuff like a great big handful in like that. It's really hard. Pull this apart into quite little pieces. So I just pull it apart and have a big pile of little pieces in front of me. And that, then if I stuff with just those little pieces, it's much easier. And if you tuck it, get a little piece and tuck it right around. I'm just trying to show you. I end up using my little finger to get it right around into the side there. And I really pack it really tightly, because if you pack it really tightly on sort of the one side of the heart, it gives you the ability to hold the sides together and sew them up, and then you just give them a little bit of a wriggle and it will distribute the stuffing across the whole heart, if that makes sense. So you can see I'm still shoving that in there. It's getting a little bit thicker.
And I'm going to give up on my cotton thread because it just snapped on me. One of the strands just snapped.
Oh.
So here, I'm going to have to find another thread. Hang on a minute. Mine might end up being multicolored, I think.
Yeah, pull it tight and just pull it and tie a bit of a knot of it and tuck those ends in the middle, and then you can start a bit more. So I'm just going to break off a little bit more of this, and I'm still stuffing.
So Jess was still cutting out a felt. How are you going, Jess? Have you got some pretty hearts? How are you going, Dolphin?
Yeah, good. I've just used a normal thread. I don't do embroidery, so I've just used a normal thread and put it double and just done how I would sew my badges onto my blanket.
That's all good.
So all that stuffing that I've put in is still just in that one half. You can see it's just in that one half. So I'm just going to add a little bit more so it's really, really packed. Ideally, you want them to stand up to a fair bit of, if people are going to carry them in their in their pockets or put them in their bag. You want them to be loved and used, and having them stuffed fairly full makes them quite robust. So you can see I've shoved that in there now. So that's really quite firm on that side, but it also allows me to hold these edges closed, so I can sew around that final bit to keep it all in, if that's any help.
Now, Lynn, remembering I said the cat had hidden mine, he's just brought it back to me.
Oh, how thoughtful.
So it's now covered in cat.
Oh, it's a bit
bit
cat
battered.
slobber.
But just goes to show that even the cats love them. I think this one won't get donated, and I think I'll give Harley back this heart. And it just goes to show that, you know, if you love your cat, you could give your cat one as well. But you know, we're aiming for other people. So Jess is starting to sew now. Her sister's sewing along. Welcome, Jess's sister. So we've got Olivia and Stephanie. How are you going with your stuffing? And how about the rest of you? So Madison and Tia, how are you girls going? Or Alice? Let us know how you're going. And I will get some more thread since mine snapped. Well, it didn't even knock that time.
So, yeah, I like the blanket stitch, and I think it's funny because I started doing them with blanket stitch, and then I tried to swap. I thought maybe it's quicker if I just go the overhand, and because I'd made so many with blanket stitch, I can't stop making them with blanket stitch. I've just got into that little habit, and so blanket stitch they will be forevermore for me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
When you come back around, get round back to the middle.
Oh, Stephanie ran out of stuffing. Can you use any of your felt from when you cut your heart out, like I'm going to? So I've got my little felt scraps here. I'm going to use that to help stuff mine. Do you have anything else like that around home you can use? Other option is you could just start another one way and stuff them later.
Yep. So what I'm doing now, I'm back to the middle. So I just do a couple of really tight little stitches and just thread it through. So I just do a couple of little really tight stitches back in that little middle of the top of the heart. And then just to finish it off, because how am I going to get rid of this thread? What I do is I just push it through, push the needle into the heart and out sort of through the middle of the heart, whoops, without that loop over. So I push it there like that, then I pull it tight and just snip it off. Sorry, I put my fingers in the way. I just snip it off. So at the moment you can see the end of the thread sticking out of the heart, but as soon as I let that go and squish the stuffing around, that little end of the heart is tucked away in there and you can't see. So it's done, nice and firm, and I just sort of give it a little squish around to move some of the stuffing that I packed hard on the one half. So I'm moving a little bit of around to the other half. And there he's done. So this one's...
I do just want to give a shout out to Stephanie, who did some great problem solving just then. She ran out of stuffing and she wasn't going to continue. She's now using pom-poms. So
yep, perfect.
There, Stephanie.
Tissues, cotton, wool scraps, yep, anything you can find. So that one's all finished for me.
Beautiful.
And I'm going to pop it in a little bag that's ready there and sticky tape it down, and it's ready to go in my box there. So
I don't quite have enough felt stuffing. I might make mine up with the other one. But the other thing we're going to do tonight while we're working on these is I was keen to look at sharing some different ideas around service projects. Because one thing I found with a lot of girls in your age group when they're doing their BP or their Queens is they get really stuck when it comes to a service project. So I put together a bit of a table here, and this is where you girls might be able to help add to it. And I've tried to, oops, get rid of that. I've tried to make it so it's not just metrocentric or for where I'm from. So things to consider when you're thinking about your service project is if you like anything in this list, make sure you contact the agency or organisation first to make sure your contribution is what is needed. They may have finished that particular part or may not have room for what you're thinking of. So do always contact the group you're wanting to volunteer or help with first, and make sure you abide by any rules or guidelines the agency has. So for example, if you're going to be doing, there's a group called Aussies Knitting for, hang on, it's down the bottom page, Aussies Knitting for War Affected Refugees. They have some really strict requirements about what kind of yarn you can use if you're going to be knitting or crocheting jumpers. And that's because in the refugee camps, everything needs to be non-flammable, so you have to use wool. Same with if you're going to do Red Cross trauma teddies, they have really strict rules about the pattern you have to use in the whole bit. And while this list is just a guide, make sure you see if there's any local organisation in your town or your suburb or your area that you may be able to support, because you'll find people will come on board more if it's something that they know about and are from. So we've set this up so it's based on your interest. So if you're passionate about something, like I'm passionate about people who are homeless, then you're more likely to invest your time and energy into what you're doing. So I've made an interest column. I put some sample organisations down there, and again, this list could grow. Where the organisations do a regular fundraiser event you participate in, I've also included that. Where they accept donations of goods, we've put that in. And where they'll accept handmade crafts, I've also included that. So for example, if you really want to support an animal welfare group, we've got animal welfare groups that look after things like domestic animals like your homeless dogs and your cats. Sometimes they do rabbits and horses and things like that. RSPCA is one of those groups. I know in Albany we've got 2 other local rescue groups. There's things you can do, like a lot of them will love you to help out with donating dog food or animal bedding or anything like that. However, RSPCA also do a big fundraiser every year. So you could get involved in RSPCA Cupcake Day, something you could get your patrol involved in, and you could all make cupcakes, decorate them, and this is after COVID's over, potentially look at selling them to help raise funds or doing a fundraiser for the RSPCA. Whereas if you're into native animals, so I know there was a big call after the fires for people to help make possum pouches, bird nests, and mittens for koalas that had been burnt. So you've got local native animal rescue groups. There's some larger ones as well, like your Wires. There's also the WWF as well. If you're passionate about women's issues, there are some programs that help look after women who are in third world countries where they don't have access or the money to buy things like sanitary napkins and tampons and things like that. And you can help out by sewing reusable pads. And I know that Dolphin talked about that last week. So Days for Girls is just one example of an organisation that does that. And then there's Share the Dignity, which encourages you to fill up an old handbag or a new handbag with toiletries and sanitary items for those who are homeless. Food Bank always is welcoming donations for food. And if another thing you can do is maybe build a free little pantry that you could put outside your house. Obviously talk to your parents first. But that could be a place that your community then gets behind to donate goods. So the idea being you give what you can, take what you need type approach. And it's great for things like, you know, if you've got an abundance of apples that you've grown at home, or rhubarb or potatoes, you can share it through there as well. Domestic violence survivors. I know Anglicare is one such organisation who welcomes donations of pyjamas, because quite often these families rock up with nothing. So pajamas in various sizes for kids, for adults, toiletries, school supplies, that type of thing. And that's also associated with the Red Cross trauma teddies. I just dropped off 223 teddy bears my grandmother had made while she was in isolation. I think I've got another 100 bears that were in my shed because I couldn't drop them off to the op shop because it was closed. But they're going to get donated to Red Cross. Will then use them for children who might be escaping family violence or other types of emergencies. And as I said, with the refugees, there are organisations out there who accept handmade blankets, socks, toys, that type of thing. The homeless, I know where I'm from, they accept things like beanies and scarves, gloves, handmade blankets, donated blankets. So if you wanted to work with your patrol and you could all make a square, whether it be knitted or crocheted, and sew it together, you could give someone a really warm blanket to help them get through the winter. And obviously the cancer, people who suffer from cancer, Relay for Life, Biggest Morning Tea, Pink Ribbon Day, there's lots of things there. There's also things you can do around literacy, and that's where free little libraries could be an option. The idea being that you have a waterproof box of some type and you put it somewhere, whether it be on your verge, again, talk to your parents, or you might get permission to put it outside your guide hall, and you would put books in there, and the idea being that people can take or donate books. So I've helped put in place 3 in Albany through my job, and every time I try and go and donate books to them, they're packed with books. And one is outside one of our child and parent centres, and sometimes the kids come in with books from the free library that they want to show off that their mum had got them and they're really excited. So it's really good to see those type of things. But all these things are things that you can do. Some of them you could look at raising funds, some you could look at collecting donations, or if you're handcrafty, you could look at making them as well. So if you've got anything you want to add to this list, do let us know, and I will send this to Sasha so she might be able to make it downloadable from the the blog as well. But it's just an ideas page, and it's definitely not complete. You'll all be aware of organisations that you're aware of in your own community that could help with that. So Olivia has said she's got a little bit lopsided, but it worked. She thinks she's overstuffed it because some stuffing falling out the sides. My stitches are also a bit too big. But yeah, as Sasha
said, they're never too big, they're never too small. If you're making it with love, that's just all you need to do. Don't judge it. It's
but
not
if you're worried
about
about stuffing falling out, you could just go through another.
Just go over it. Just go over it. Tuck it in.
Maybe another bright colour to contrast. So if you've got any other ideas you want to put on that service table, do send them, because I know many of you are working on your queens. We can then make that available, and it's a resource then for other guides who are in your age group that are working on awards. Oh, look, Lynn's done another one. Very pretty. How are you going there, Dolphin? Oh, look at that. Very pretty colours.
And of course I was about 5 centimetres short of thread, so I had to pull all my stitches tighter because
always the way.
Undone. And I just thought that is just exactly how it always happens.
Yes. So we really encourage you to get behind a service project. It doesn't have to be this one, but this is just one you can do, and it's something that has a multiplier effect. So if you look at distributing them, you could drop them off to the local hospital, to the fire brigade, to the police station, a friend that might need a little boost of care. It could be your neighbour, it could be your grandparents. The list is endless. But as Lynn pointed out, make sure you keep one for yourself as well. Anything you wish to add, Lynn?
No, I just think it's just such, I think just it's wonderful to think, and as you saw in the video, that just something so little can make such a big difference to people, and we never know the effect that that's going to have. You know, just something so tiny can have such a big impact on the children that we saw in the video, the people that were affected in the bushfires. It's just amazing. So yeah, and even thinking about where you can distribute them, that's another thing. You know, I've given these out to lots of people that live in the retirement village where my mum lives. I've given them to all the people in the medical centre, the pharmacy. You can just be random and walk along the street and hand them to someone. If you see, I always keep a little stash in my bag. Sometimes I see, I've seen a mother wrangling a crying child in the street. Who hasn't seen that, you know? Oh, the kid's going mad. And I've just gone up and just given her a little thing. And I said, take that and have a look at it later, you know, something for you. So, and you know what? It is so much for us as well. As much as what the other people, it's a really one of those exact, you know, where Baden Powell says, and a lot of people say, when you give it away, you actually get to keep something for yourself. So it's a really beautiful project. For this and all service projects is where we're giving back to our community in so many different ways, whether it's for the animals or for people, the homeless. Everything that we do to help our community helps us as well a little bit.
And I like the fact it's so affordable. You're not needing a lot of materials, and a little bit of felt, as I said, goes a long way. How about you, Dolphin? How have you found the experience tonight?
I love them. I've just had a thought. As I said last week, I'm looking at putting together these reusable pad kits. So I'm going to put 12 in there, a dry bag and a wet bag. And I thought this would be the perfect thing to put in, to go in with it as well, just to add more to the project that I'm doing. But I've actually got a contact now, and they will be going to the Uganda Girl Guides Association, because they're out in the community working with the girls in the villages. So I thought they're already out there, so that's where I'm going to send all mine to.
Well, Dolphin, can I offer the hearts? I can make you the hearts. If you let me know how many things that you're going to do, I can do the hearts for you to add to that project.
Love the hearts, Lynn, but wait till I tell you, my goal is 500.
500 kits?
500 packs, yeah. I'm going to ask the crafters all around through the Animal Rescue Craft Group, if they are interested, start sewing and send them to me.
Okay, well, I'm up for a challenge.
There we go. And girls, maybe if you're interested in making hearts, you might be able to help Dolphin out with her project as well. There you go. So that brings us to the end for tonight, but I do have another thought to close with. And this thought is, you don't have to chase extraordinary moments to find happiness. It's right in front of you if you're paying attention and practicing gratitude. And I just really think that that's, you know, quite a sweet saying. And sometimes all it takes is to be reminded about the things that you've actually got, to think that life's not actually that bad or that horrible after all. So, Janice has finished hers, and so is Jessica. Well done. So we'll be back again next week. We will run another poll in case we get some people that weren't on this week. Madison's finished as well. Well done. So don't forget to keep a heart for yourself and make a few more to give out to other people. So any last words from Wren or Dolphin?
No, I think that's all. It's been lovely, really. Thanks for inviting me tonight. It's been great to come and visit you.
Thanks, Lynn. It's been great to have you on board, particularly someone who's made so many. I admittedly have only made 5, so, you know, your experience was very grateful for this.
I'll have to get on to these other ones. I'm a bit indulgent in buying them already pre-cut, but when I make so many, I found that the cutting them out was the thing. So that's my little indulgence for me.
And our tip will be a cardboard template.
And it doesn't. They all yeah. Absolutely.
Mine is from a cappuccino sachet box.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what Sarah wants. You know, it's a project that needs to go across, you know, you need to be able to make it from things that you've got around the house. It's about the feeling that goes into it. That's what's the main thing.
So thanks, everyone. Hope you have a fabulous week, and we will see you online again next week. We'll have a look at the mural board to make sure we haven't missed anything from our first couple of weeks of planning. And we will pull together whatever we've got left, and we'll do another poll again next week, and that'll be the decider for what we do once we resume face-to-face guiding. Thanks for your time, everyone. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.